Okay. Hi, my name is Steve Blank. I'm the editor and publisher of Blank Slate Media. And I'd like to welcome everyone to our sit down with Maureen O'Connell, a Republican running for re-election as Nassau County Clerk. I am joined by Rob Pelez, a reporter for Blank Slate Media. And before we get started, I'd like to thank Northwell Health, which Maureen, I see you know a little about.
A little.
Which is our sponsor. So let's get right to it. And I guess maybe you want to, you can clarify that reference that I just made about Northwell Health in discussing and first telling us about your background in just your background leading up to today.
Sure, thank you. And thank you for hosting this. I'm Maureen O'Connell. I'm the Nassau County Clerk, as you said, Steve, running for re-election. I do know Northwell Health very well. I worked there as a registered nurse for more than a decade, almost 2 decades. And as a matter of fact, we just gave flu shots in the Willistons with a vaccine provided by Northwell Health. We gave it at the Williston Post 144 to almost 200 patients. And that was on Tuesday, just earlier this week. And many of my nurse friends and former associates donated their time all day. And it was a very successful day. And since then, I've been doing a couple of home visits to patients who are not ambulatory, can't, get out and about. So I've been doing a series of home visits the last couple of days to those patients who, because of medical disabilities, could not come to the post for a flu shot themselves. So that's what I've been doing in addition to my responsibilities, of course, as Nassau County Clerk. I've been doing the flu shot program for over 25 years here in the Willistons, and I thank Northwell for their for providing the vaccine to us, which is such a wonderful service they provide. Anyway, so as I said, I'm a registered nurse and I'm also an attorney. I attended St. John's Law School and worked as an attorney for many years, and had the good fortune of being elected to the New York State Assembly going back to 1998 and served almost 9 years in the state legislature, and then had the great fortune of being elected to a county-wide office as the Nassau County Clerk. And just for a little background information on the county clerk's office, here in Nassau we have 4 county-wide elected officials. We have a county executive, we have a county district attorney, we have a county controller, and the county clerk. Of those 4 countywide offices, 2 of the 4 are constitutionally mandated positions. And maybe you can think about what positions those may be, but I will tell you, number 1 is the district attorney, and the second office is the county clerk. Those are 2 mandated by the New York State Constitution mandated offices in every county in New York. And the reason for that is very, very sort of simple, because as clerk of the county, I serve in 2 capacities. I serve the county of Nassau as the recorder of all of the land records and anything pertaining to the ownership of real property is recorded under statutory requirement, is recorded in the office of the county clerk. So what kind of documents would that be? Well, it would be a deed. When you buy and sell a house, you transfer ownership via a piece of paper called a deed, and those deeds are recorded in the county clerk's office. And most oftentimes, folks take a mortgage on their house to pay for whatever they cannot afford beyond the down payment. And that mortgage relates to the ownership of land. So that mortgage is also recorded in the office of the county clerk. And when you reach a point in time where you pay off that mortgage, which is always a wonderful experience, it's called a satisfaction of mortgage. And that satisfaction of mortgage, showing that it is paid in full, is recorded and sort of nullifies the mortgage that was originally recorded with the deed. So it's a process of land records that we maintain. here in the county clerk's office. And it's really historic. Goes back to an English system when the king would, travel Great Britain, and he would grant land to his various subjects. It was recorded in ledgers. So it's a historic process by which we provide security for the ownership of land here in the United States, and every state does require recording of the deeds and mortgages on the land side. In addition to the county clerk land recording responsibilities, I'm also the clerk of the Supreme Court. And what does that mean? It means that every lawsuit that is brought in the county of Nassau on a Supreme Court level is started here in the office of the county clerk. So every time a lawyer starts an action or brings a motion for some kind of emergency relief, temporary restraining orders, things of that nature, it is filed here in the office of the county clerk. So I'm kind of very lucky that I have a legal background, because that helped significantly when I became county clerk here in Nassau. And I'm also, I also bring my nursing skills in, because folks, everyday citizens here in Nassau County are coming in and out of this office every day, and they're looking for assistance with whatever they're trying to accomplish, whether it's a lawsuit related matter or it's a land related matter. We can assist them, and I kind of take a very special interest in providing very hands-on service, because people, dealing with my office don't know the legalese, the legal language. Oh, I need a discharge and whatever. That's sort of hard to communicate to in a legal context to the staff, and to make it clear what it is they want to accomplish. So we're very hands-on in terms of providing assistance with those who come into the office and use our services. In addition to those two main functions, we also do many other things. We serve as the notary. I'm not sure if you know what a notary is. I'm sure you've heard of it, but we are the notary for the county. People come in every day and have to have documents notarized, and we serve as the notary for residents of the county of Nassau. We also file DBAs, doing business as documents here in the county of Nassau. We serve our veterans in multiple capacities by recording their discharge paper, which we identify as a DD 214. When a veteran is discharged from the military, they are given a DD 214, and we record them and keep them in a confidential file here in the County of Nassau Clerk's office. Because what happens is, when you're discharged, as many veterans were at a time in life where they were very young, those papers went into what I call a safe place, and those safe places become so safe that 20, 30 years go by and they can't find it anymore. So if they've recorded it here in the office of the county clerk, we can produce it for them, give them a certified copy, which is the same as the original. And I'm happy to say that if they do record their DD 214s, we give them a veteran's identification card, and we have many businesses that have signed up to give the veterans a discount on services with gratitude for their service to our great nation. So it's just one of a myriad of services that we provide here, and we literally have people coming and going all day long, accessing judgments of divorce.
So how do you, let me ask you this. You're dealing with all the records, the land records for the county.
Yes.
And mortgages and deeds. You also are, you're doing with the legal system. Are you limited in dealing with the courts? And these are state courts, correct?
Yes, New York State's courts, yes.
Okay, so these are state courts.
Not federal courts, not federal courts, state
Right.
courts.
Okay.
We're the clerk of the state Supreme Court.
And
it's
that includes the county court. It's Nassau
yes.
County Court?
Yes, we're clerk of the county court, but we are so large here in Nassau County, we really, they really have their own sort of structure in the county court, which I access every day and provide, services to them, but not every case in county court is commenced here in the clerk's office.
Okay.
That can be commenced by the district attorney filing, a criminal action. We're more on the civil side in most circumstances of the county court operations. But let me just say that, just to kind of put it in context for you guys, most people don't realize that we're the clerk of the court unless you're a legal practitioner. And why is that? Well, we here in Nassau are such a big county and so populated that there's not enough space in the Supreme Court here in Nassau for us to be in that courthouse. If you travel around the state of New York, you're going to find that most county clerks are in the courthouse itself. So people can kind of understand that we're the clerk of the court in most counties, whereas here in Nassau, we are so large that we have to be in a building across the street. And I'll just add to that physicality of this. When I first came to the county clerk office 16 years ago, the court officers and the county clerk staff were running documents and papers, court papers back and forth across the parking lot, literally on a daily, sometimes multiple times in a day, because we are not in the court, and they, file the paper, the court files the papers with us, the papers get filed here and we run them over to the courthouse. But about 6 years ago, we converted all of the court operations to an e-platform. And we were fortunate here. I had some contacts from my Albany days. We were the demonstration program for the state of New York for the New York State court system to begin using an e-platform to commence cases and manage cases on what's called a NICEF, or the e-platform. And we were the first county to do that. And we are totally on the e-platform for about the last 6 years. So that has helped tremendously in terms of the physicality of dealing with documents and of having people run back and forth. And of course, for the judges and for the lawyers, it makes life easier that they can file their papers right on the e-platform, and the judges can access those court documents right on the platforms that they have access to as well in the courthouse.
So was that something that was done by the state, or what role did you play in implementing it? That sounds like a pretty major undertaking.
Extremely major undertaking. We were the demonstrator. It started in a collaborative way between the court system and my office. We were like I said, we were the demonstration county to start using an e-platform, and it sort of evolved from our collaboration with the court system, Office of Court Administration, and their technology team to create this e-platform. And it was perfected here in Nassau County. And now I think almost every county in the state of New York is on an e-platform. And we were able to really develop that here in Nassau County. I'm very proud of it. And, it's just it was thankfully done years ago, and it was really helpful during the COVID timeframe when we had to limit access to the county clerk's office. We tried to keep, the public, too much public activity, or we tried to keep it down to, a limited number of people to protect our staff. So that really was very helpful during the past year and a half in that context.
So what are, among your accomplishments? Well, tell us what has happened. You've been there since 2005.
Yes.
And what has changed? What is the clerk's office now, and from what it was then?
Well, we've gone from when I came into the office back in 2005. I inherited 2.5 million paper documents that were in boxes from the floor to the ceiling, which was quite challenging. It took us about 14 months to clean up that and get that all handled. And we've evolved from that time to a completely e-platform. So in other words, on the land record side, it's all now recordable on an e-platform. We can record a deed over the internet on the platform that I sponsor, and we can process land records in addition to the NICEF platform, which is the court side of the operation.
So if I
So
want to look for, can I, as a member of the public or the press, can we go online and we want to see the deed for a particular property? Can
yes,
we do that?
yes,
And
absolutely.
That's accessible from over the internet.
Yes, it is, through the office of the county clerk.
Okay.
Yes.
What other accomplishments? So that's, I guess, 2 million plus documents and getting them digitized is a pretty good accomplishment. What are the things that you have that have been done under you?
Well, yeah, well, we've made it more, besides making it internet accessible, we've also created user-friendly platforms to have access, so the public has access to their deeds. We've also updated our a property fraud alert system, where if you want to access, we have an alert system where if somebody files a deed, we notify a homeowner so that they can know that if it's not lawfully filed by the homeowner, they will be alerted right away and it can be referred for criminal investigation. We've created protections to secure people's ownership of real property. Fortunately, we have not had it really a proliferation of that sort of activity here in Nassau, but some states have, and we wanted to be proactive and create a fraud alert system just in case people get ideas from other states to try it here. And, we thankfully haven't had it as a big problem, but we did install a property fraud alert system. We've also secured major grant funding from the New York State Archives, State Ed and the Archives Division to start digitizing some historic records that we maintain here in the county clerk's office. We're a county that's separated from Queens County a long, long time ago. So we have old maps and we have old filings that we're starting to digitize so that we can backload them into our e-platform as well, which is quite interesting and exciting. And we've also secured a lot of grant money. Just to put this in historic context so you can appreciate it, we operate a secure records facility for the entire county of Nassau, which is maintained on a county property. It's a secure facility. And we've upgraded all of that facility with grant money to make it more secure, to make it fire resistant, and take protections of the archived records that are over in the secure facility. At the time I came into the clerk's office, I before I even, I was elected in November, and by the time I became clerk in January, I had already visited many clerk's offices around the lower part of New York State, and just to get some ideas from them. And interestingly, you should know that court records, Supreme Court records, are permanent retention records. That means they must be permanently retained forever. So this preceded the e-platform that we created here. And literally one of the counties had run out of space to store their court records, and they were on a barge in a river, the East River, under tarps. So I visited.
What could go wrong with that?
I visited many court clerks to get ideas and thoughts, and literally clerks' offices were running out of space to store these permanently retained records. So the e-platform was something that was vitally important to begin, and the state of New York court system and this office of the county clerk really launched this whole network of e-filing of court records. But that doesn't mean we still don't have court records that are stored here in the county of Nassau. And we're hoping as a next step to start backfilling some of those court records so that they can be put on a platform and secured. Not that we can get rid of the paper, we can't, but at least it eliminates going forward any of that paper storage that the clerk's offices around the state had to manage all these years.
What are you doing for protection now from people who are hacking and going into holding people hostage. Manhattan, we've had demands for taking websites over for municipalities. What steps have been taken to protect the records from people on the internet?
Yes.
For ransom.
Yeah, luckily, we have a very, very, very secure system here in Nassau, which is operated both by the court system and by the Nassau County IT department. And we have a very, very secure system, which is one of the reasons why we stayed open during the COVID timeframe, because I could not allow people to be accessing the land side and the court side from a remote location, because it didn't have the protections that we have here through the court and through the county in terms of processing money, in terms of processing documents, and just protecting it from, as you're saying, hacking access or hacking opportunities. So that's something that we're very careful about. And I know other county clerks have had difficulty with that. And I haven't heard that anybody has been hacked, but I can't be more proactive on protecting the records here.
So what are the major issues that you're now facing when you're looking forward, you're looking for re-election? And what do you see as the issues that are before you?
The issues that are, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Major issues that you face going forward.
Yeah, going forward, the major issues really are, getting back to normal. And I think we are getting back to some normalcy at this point. One of the things that I was very proactive in that we're continuing to manage on a day-to-day basis is, as you probably know, there's been a lot of buying and selling of land and homes here on Long Island. That's been written up in all of the, major newspapers. The housing market has just exploded. And when you buy a house, they have to do something called a title search. I don't know if you've heard of that process, but there are people that come in here to make sure that, the client that they represent has a clean title. It's free of liens, it's mortgage free. You have to make sure you're conveying a title or deed that's clear of any kind of encumbrances. So before you buy a house, you have a title searcher come in the clerk's office and they do title searching. And one of the things we had to do during the COVID months, is break up the title searchers into teams so that these title searches could be done and it wouldn't literally destroy the housing market and the ability to transfer ownership of real property during that time frame. So we went to very aggressive steps. I put my old nurse's cap on and I changed a lot of the physical qualities of the building by adding some plexiglass. We added some touch-free machinery, computers, screens, copying devices to protect people from transmission. I also changed all of the sink water fountains in the office to hands-free, going back to my days as a nurse in the hospital. And we were very careful about the volume of people that were allowed into the building. We cut it in half to maintain social distancing. So we're still doing that, although we're allowing a little bit more activity, very, very little more activity, but we're very conscious of getting through this COVID period while still maintaining business here in the county of Nassau, which is vitally important to the economy and to the average homeowner and the average person, involving the legal aspects of our job.
Now, some of the fees that I guess you administer.
Some fees, did you say, Steve?
Yeah, there have been the GOP legislators in a party line vote several years ago in order to balance the budget. There were fees raised that impacted things that you do. In
Yes,
terms of mortgage recording fees, and there was a traffic ticket, but there was also a $350 fee to verify a property's section, lock, and block. Now you were critical of some of that, and that was actually your Republican and the Republican legislators and county executive, though, wanted to raise money. Are you, and you were critical of it then. What do you think of now that they're lifting some of those fees?
well, I think it's appropriate. Number one, the section block and lot verification fee, I don't collect. It's not within the purview of my constitutional responsibilities, and made that clear at the time it was enacted. It's basically paying for a service that doesn't exist. What are they checking? My database, the county clerk's database, to provide a section block and lot. And believe it or not, sometimes that SBL is transposed to my office incorrectly, that somebody is paying hundreds of dollars to have verified. So it's really ridiculous. It's a fee for no service, and the court just held that fee is unconstitutional if it's a fee for no service, number one. And I opposed it from the day it was put forward by the county legislature. I was there speaking out against it at that point. And the other fee I objected to was when I came here, the fees for recording a deed. The fees are set forth on a schedule, and the schedule of fees is very much broken down into buckets, and they're set by the state of New York. And some of the fees that we collect go into an education bucket, some of them go into various buckets as set forth by statute here in the state of New York. The only fee that the county collects is a mortgage recording fee. That's the only aspect of the recording fees that a county has control over. All the rest are set by the state of New York. So they took that fee from $10 and it went to over $300 during the time I've been here. And it's basically ridiculous because it's a fee just to collect more revenue. And I objected then, and I still objected. And fortunately, those fees have been repealed because they just did not relate to the cost of what I provided in services at this office.
Now, let me ask you this. The only problem with lifting it is that there's now the loss of $106 million worth of revenue. I guess that's not in your purview to say how that deficit is filled. I think the county executive is now saying, well, maybe we should study this before I give approval, because if we're doing a budget, that's $106 million that we have to make up. And Nassau County has had difficulties over many years of balancing its budget. So what do you think of the idea that you don't like the fee, but if Laura Kern were to say, hey, we ought to wait a year, or we need to figure out how we're going to pay for it, would you object to that? Or do you think that they just eliminate the fees because it makes no sense, and then we'll figure out how to make up the $106 million?
Well, there's two problems. One is that the one fee, the tax map fee, which is a fee for no service, has been ruled and deemed unconstitutional already by a state Supreme Court judge. I know it's up on appeal, but that's one aspect of it. And to go from $10 to above $300 for another aspect of this, we already generate rather substantial amounts of revenue for the county of New York. And I have to have confidence that the county legislature has, some knowledge base of the county budget. And it's my hope that the county executive signs these bills into law so that, we don't have, $1,000 fee to file one discharge of mortgage or one mortgage satisfaction. I mean, that just doesn't make sense. It's far greater than the cost of what
Any advice
of
to
the service.
to the county executive
Yes.
on how to fill that $106 million hole?
I haven't had a chance to look at her budget, but I will as going forward at some point, and I'll be happy to give further input on it.
Now, let me ask you this. You are the only countywide Republican official. The DA, county executive, county controller, all Democrats. How now, do you interact enough that this could potentially be a problem, or are these areas so separate that there is not that much interaction that you have to have with the let's say the county executive who's putting together the budget?
Well, her staff and my staff interact regularly. We submit a budget on behalf of the Office of the County Clerk. My staff submits it to her staff. We work with many of the county agencies, especially in the IT genre. So we've never had a problem in any way, shape, or form, performing, or I haven't never had a problem performing my constitutional duties. And if you do your job and you're pretty straightforward, I think that speaks for itself.
Any difference from when now you served under, I guess, Tom Suozzi?
Same thing.
Or well, at the same time, you didn't serve under, but you were at the same time as Tom Suozzi, Ed Mangano, and Laura Kern. As that is
never had a problem.
Never had a problem. Okay, might be people may be coming to you and asking for advice on how to deal in a bipartisan way.
Like maybe that's my Albany background that I learned how to do that in order to accomplish something in Albany.
So I guess in terms of going forward, Rob, do you have any questions before we ask the biggest question of the day? I greatly appreciate you giving us not only your views, but also your a little bit of the background of what goes into the office, which probably people don't appreciate all that goes into it between the courts and all the records.
And I just want to say I'm blessed with a very, very, very dedicated staff. You could not do this alone. This is a team effort here in the county clerk's office. And,
so you have an opponent, a Democratic opponent, in a county that is, in terms of registered voters, increasingly Democratic. Justin Brown is your opponent. We're going to be sitting with him later today. What would you tell voters in terms of why they should reelect you to, I guess this would be your 5th term?
yes.
Okay, so what would be your message to voters on why you should keep your position?
Well, I think the 2 words that I would use to the voters would be experience matters. Experience matters in the county clerk's office. And without the legal experience and the technological knowledge of the operation, I think that whoever came into this office without that would be severely handcuffed. I wish my opponent well in his life, but I think that experience in this office is extremely important in order to make sure the operation works effectively and efficiently.
Okay, well, I would like to thank Maureen O'Connell for, we might add, a East Williston resident. We have a bias for people that are within our readership area.
And it was very nice seeing you at the Williston Street Fair. That was nice that you personally came. That was very, very good because it was a very exciting day, given that we haven't had a street fair in some time there. So, and the chamber did a great job.
Yeah, they did. That was a wonderful day. They do a great job. So I'd like to thank Maureen O'Connell for taking the time with us and those who also are attending now or will do so in the future. I'd like to thank again Northwell Health for sponsoring today's discussion. For those who were unable to watch today, which I think most people didn't during the workday, a recording of our discussion can be found on Blank Slate Media's website, theislandnow.com, our Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. You're able to get to our YouTube channel directly or by clicking on a link to theislandnow.com. And a story about this afternoon's discussion will appear in the 6 Blank Slate newspapers next week. If you're not already, we hope you will support local journalism by subscribing to the newspaper of your community. And you can do that also at our website, theislandnow.com. So again, Maureen, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
I thank Rob Pelez for assisting and for his work in reporting today's discussion. Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
Maureen.